Hello everyone, myself Mr. S.M. Ghanwat, working as Assistant Professor in Mechanical Department at Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, Yadrao, Ichalkaranji. We are now discussing part 4 of atomic structure and interatomic bonding. In part 4 of atomic structure and interatomic bonding, we are going to discuss secondary bonding or van der Waals bonding, and we are going to summarize all the sessions that are covered under atomic structure and interatomic bonding in this part 4. Now we are going to start our discussion with the point secondary bonding or van der Waals bonding. Secondary or van der Waals or physical bonds are weak in comparison to the primary or chemical ones. Bonding energies are typically on the order of only 10 kJ per mole. Secondary bonding exists between virtually all atoms or molecules, but its presence may be hidden if any of the three primary bonding types is present. Secondary bonding is evidenced for the inert gases, which have stable electron structure, and in addition, between molecules in molecular structure that are covalently bonded. Secondary bonding forces arises from atomic or molecular dipoles. In essence, an electric dipole exists whenever there is some separation of positive-negative portions of an atom or molecule. The bonding results from the Coulombic attraction between positive end of one dipole and negative region of an adjacent one, as indicated in figure. Dipole interactions occur between induced dipoles and polar molecules which have permanent dipoles, and between polar molecules. Hydrogen bonding, a special type of secondary bonding, is found to exist between some molecules that have hydrogen as one of the constituents. These bonding mechanisms are now discussed briefly. Now we are going to discuss fluctuating induced dipole bonds. A dipole may be created or induced in an atom or molecule that is normally electrically symmetric, that is, the overall spatial distribution of the electron is symmetric with respect to the positively charged nucleus as shown in figure. All atoms are experiencing constant vibrational motion that can cause instantaneous and short-lived dis distortions of this electrical symmetry for some of the atoms or molecules, and the creation of small electric dipoles as represented in figure. One of these dipoles can in turn produce a displacement of electron distribution of an adjacent molecule or atom, which induces the second one also to become a dipole, that is, then weakly attracted or bonded to the first. This is one type of van der Waals bonding. These attractive forces may exist between large number of atoms or molecules, which forces are temporary and fluctuate with time. The liquefaction and, in some cases, solidification of inert gases and other electrically neutral and symmetric molecules such as H2 and Cl2 are realized because of this type of bonding. Now we will proceed further with polar molecules induced dipole bonds. Permanent dipole moments exist in some molecules by virtue of an asymmetrical arrangement of positively and negatively charged regions. Such molecules are termed polar molecules. Figure is going to show you the schematic representation of a hydrogen chloride molecule. A permanent dipole moment arises from net positive and negative charges that are respectively associated with the hydrogen and chlorine ends of HCl molecule. Polar molecules can also induce dipoles in adjacent nonpolar molecules, and a bond will form as a result of attractive forces between the two molecules. Furthermore, the magnitude of this bond will be greater than for fluctuating induced dipoles. Now we are proceeding further with the permanent dipole bonds. Van der Waals forces will also exist between adjacent polar molecules. The associated bonding energies are significantly greater than for bonds involving induced dipoles. The strongest secondary bonding type, the hydrogen bond, is a typical case of polar molecule bonding. It occurs between molecules in which hydrogen is covalently bonded to fluorine, as in HF, oxygen as in H2O, and nitrogen as in NH3. For HF, HO, and HN bond, the single hydrogen electron is shared with the other atom. Thus, the hydrogen end of the bond is essentially a positive charged bare proton that is unscreened by any electron. This highly positively charged end of molecules is capable of a strong attractive force with the negative end of an adjacent molecule as shown in figure. For HF, in essence, this single proton forms a bridge between two negatively charged atoms. The magnitude of the hydrogen bond is generally greater than that of the other type of secondary bonds and may be as high as 51 kJ per mole, and melting and boiling temperatures for hydrogen fluoride and water are abnormally high in light of their low molecular weights as a consequence of hydrogen bonding. Now we are going to summarize all the sessions of atomic structure and interatomic bonding. We'll start with the first point, that is electrons in atoms. The two atomic models are Bohr and wave mechanical, whereas the Bohr model assumes electrons to be particles orbiting the nucleus in discrete paths. In wave mechanics, we consider them to be wave-like and treat electron positive position in terms of probability distribution. The energies of electron are quantized, that is, only specific values of energy are allowed. The four electron quantum numbers are Nl, Ml, and Ms. Each of these specifies a distinct electron characteristics. According to the Pauli exclusion principle, each electron state can accommodate no more than two electrons, which must have opposite spin. This is the summary of electrons in atoms, where we have considered two atomic models. One is Bohr and second is wave mechanical. Accordingly, we have made the summary of electrons in atoms. Now, the next point that we are going to discuss is the periodic table. All the elements have been classified according to electron configuration in the periodic table as shown in figure. Here, the elements are situated with increasing atomic number in 7 horizontal rows called periods. The arrangement is such that all elements arrayed in a given column or group have similar valence electron structure as well as chemical and physical properties. These properties change gradually, moving horizontally across each period and vertically down each column. The element positioned in group 0, the rightmost group, are the inert gases, which have filled electron shells and stable electron configuration. Group 7a and 6a elements are 1 and 2 electrons deficient, respectively, from having stable structure. The group 7a elements are sometimes termed as the halogens. The alkali and the alkaline earth metals are labeled as groups 1a and 2a, having respectively 1 and 2 electrons in excess of stable structure. The elements in the three long periods groups 3b and 2b are termed the transition metals, which have partially filled d electron states and in some cases 1 or 2 electrons in the next higher energy shell. Group 3a, 4a and 5a display characteristics that are intermediate between the metals and nonmetals by virtue of their valence electron structure. As may be noted from the periodic table, most of the elements really come under the metal classification. These are sometimes termed electropositive elements, indicating that they are capable of giving up their few valence electrons to become positively charged ions. Furthermore, the elements situated on the right hand side of the table are electronegative. That is, they readily accept electrons to form negatively charged ions, or sometimes they share electron with other atoms. Now we will just take an overview of the periodic table. All the elements have been classified according to electron configuration in periodic table. The elements are situated with increasing atomic number in several horizontal rows. We call it as periods. The arrangement is such that all elements arrayed in a given column or group have similar valence electron structures as well as chemical and physical properties. These properties change gradually, moving horizontally across each period and vertically down each column. Also, we are going to take a note of electropositive element and electronegative element. As it may be noted from the periodic table that most of the elements really come under the metal classification. These are sometimes termed as electropositive elements, indicating that they are capable of giving up their few valence electrons to become positively charged ions. Furthermore, the elements situated on the right hand side of the table are electronegative. That is, they readily accept electrons to form negatively charged ions, or sometimes they share electrons with other atoms. Now, the figure displays electronegativity values that have been assigned to the various elements arranged in the periodic table. As a general rule, electronegativity increases in moving from left to right and from bottom to top. I will repeat this concept of electronegativity once again. As a general rule, electronegativity increases in moving from left to right and from bottom to top. Atoms are more likely to accept electrons if their outer shells are almost full, and if they are less shielded from the nucleus. Shielded means closer to the nucleus. Now we are going to summarize bonding forces and energies. Bonding force and bonding energy are related to one another. Attractive, repulsive, and net energies for two atoms or ions depend on interatomic separation. From a plot of interatomic separation versus force for two atoms per ion, the equilibrium separation corresponds to the value at zero force. From a plot of interatomic separation versus potential energy for two atoms per ions, the bonding energy corresponds to the energy value at the minimum of the curve. We will once again repeat this summary of bonding forces and energy. Bonding force and bonding energy are related to one another. Attractive, repulsive, and net energies for two atoms or ions depend on interatomic separation. From a plot of interatomic separation versus force for two atoms per ions, the equilibrium separation corresponds to the value at zero force. Another, from a plot of interatomic separation versus potential energy for two atoms per ions, the bonding energy corresponds to the energy value at the minimum of the curve. Now we are going to summarize the next point, that is primary interatomic bonds. For ionic bonds, electrically charged ions are formed by the transference of valence electrons from one atom type to another. This type of bonding is found in ceramic material. Once again, we'll repeat for ionic bond as they are electrically charged ions are formed by the transference of valence electrons from one atom type to another, and this type of bonding is found in ceramic materials. There is a sharing of valence electron between adjacent atoms when bonding is covalent. Polymers and some ceramic materials covalently bond. The percent ionic character of a bond between two elements depends on their electronegativities. With metallic bonding, the valence electrons form a sea of electrons that is uniformly dispersed around the metal ion cores and acts as a form of a glue for them. Metallic material exhibit this type of bonding. Now we will repeat it for covalent and metallic bond. In covalent bond, the valence electron between adjacent atoms when there is a sharing between valence electrons between adjacent atoms when bonding is covalent. And the example is polymer and ceramic materials. They are covalently bond. In metallic bonding, the valence electrons form a sea of electrons that is uniformly dispersed around the metal ion cores and acts as a form of glue for them, and metallic material exhibit this type of bonding. Now we are going to summarize secondary bonding or van der Waals bonding. This type of bonding are relatively weak. Van der Waals bond results from attractive forces between electric dipoles which may be induced or permanent. For hydrogen bonding, highly polar molecules form when hydrogen covalently bonds to a non-metallic element such as fluorine. This is the summary of secondary bonding or van der Waals bonding. We will repeat this summary once again. Relatively weak van der Waals bonds result from attractive forces between electric dipoles which may be induced or permanent. For hydrogen bonding, highly polar molecules form when hydrogen covalently bonds to a non-metallic element such as fluorine. Now we are going to see the reference part. For this session, the reference is William D. Callister Jr., David G. Redwich, Material Science and Engineering and Introduction. For further reading, you can refer this particular reference book for Introduction to Material Science and Engineering. Thank you.